Hello there, everyone. I know it's been a really long time, and this is one of those spontaneous things. It's for it's for the new year, and like we expected 2021 to be this wonderful year that would show that we could leave 2020 behind us and start new. And then for those of us in the U.S., we see an attack on our democracy. That uh, it doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing, but the way that this happened, it is just unbelievable. And lives were lost. Like uh, there was a police officer and there were four rioters that lost their lives. But regardless of that, like why? Like why does this matter? Like, but getting to the point past that, I was watching Law and Order SVU just now. I've been binge watching that a lot lately, and one thing that happened was there was this exchange student in Italy who was in a some sort of psychiatric center like I was several times, and she was seeing her mother again from Italy, and like she wasn't sure if she could face her. See, I felt the exact same way when I was in the hospital. Like uh, I was torn from all the connections I knew, and I thought that I had nothing left to salvage. And on top of that, like I didn't know if I could ever face them again after what I did. I thought they'd be so ashamed of me for for showing what I considered to be weakness. But honestly, I realized I built more strength from my shortcomings than I did weakness. And but one thing that always worried me about those visitations was the fact that I would have to let these people go again, even if it was just for a little bit. Like when my dad and my mother came to visit me in the first hospital, like they sat down in the living area, we chatted, and I had to take in the fact that I wasn't going home with them. They would have to leave me there, and I would have to stay there a little while longer. And one thing it made me think of is that we can't take these connections for granted. Like they could be ripped away from us at any point, either temporarily or permanently. And because of that, like we take so much for granted, especially those of us living in the US, we take everything for granted. And then when it gets ripped from us in the most unexpected way, we really do not know like what to do with ourselves after that because we thought we would have that connection forever for our whole lives. But when it comes to those kind of things, like it really makes you think because whenever you do things like that, when you take things for granted and then it is ripped away from you, then you wonder, is life really worth living anymore? Like, think about those lives lost in the Capitol. Like, one of them was a police officer. That man had a family. He was with the force for 13 years before his life ended. And imagine how their family felt when they found out he died for trying to protect the Capitol. And then also the families of the rioters, like obviously they have family who love them too. So was was this really worth any of their lives? Honestly, I do not think so at all. And it was so disturbing and so saddening to hear all this because it shows that our country still has a long way to go. And one of the reasons I watch Law and Order SVU is because these sick crimes that are being perpetrated by the characters on the show, the criminals, reminds me of what I have to be to set myself apart from a society that uh, has these kind of people in it so that I know that I am not one of them. And I want to encourage people to follow the path that I try and set out because, like, we don't really have to do all that. Like, we don't really, like, even though we see these criminals in society, we don't have to be like them. And a lot of us fear we're going to turn into them. But that is not true. We really have it within ourselves and we're all led by choice. We have free will. So why can't we as a society learn to be better, to move past this horrible event and because of that, like become better people, become the society we want to become. And this goes for worldwide too, all societies. Like the the society comes down to the one person. Each person in the society is a singular person. And because of that, like we need to start with the singular person. Once one changes, then two will change, four, eight, and then on from there, like it becomes like a virus effect. Like take the coronavirus, for instance. Like obviously it's very contagious, but so can goodwill. Like once we recover from all this, we can go back we will never truly go back to what we were because of how devastating this coronavirus has been across the globe, but we can really start with just ourselves being present, being a good person, doing things because we have our free will, and doing things because it makes us feel good. And because of that, I would like to share with you that, like, I often struggle myself sometimes too. That I like, you see that a lot of those rioters at the Capitol were white, and a lot of Black Lives Matter protesters came out saying that if these protesters were black, imagine how quickly it would have been over. Like, that makes me feel ashamed of being white sometimes because I wish that our society didn't depend on, like, our standards didn't depend on skin color. But one thing that motivates me to do is to be the shining example of what a person can be. To show that, like, as a white person especially, that we're not all bad, that we're not all evil. And that's only going to start with you and me. We need to make sure that we can do this as a society together, hand in hand, and we can get past any challenge we put our minds to. And with that, I thank you for watching, and please feel free to share and comment below if you think that this is something you'd want to do. And thank you so, so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and thanks for coming with my spontaneous little event. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Zaspy out.